ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. We are back. Jeff Dawson, an EC Sports Investor, one and only Mr. Nick Hathcoat at Hathcoat 413. And of course, Insider's Football Midday Market Report. Usually do a Friday show. My back was saying no. I reached out to Nick and a few other guests, so we're moving him in today. Talk about what he has seen in the college bowl games. Talk about a handful of games between today and tomorrow. And then, of course, the big boys on Wednesday and Thursday. But first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play. Download the app. It is free. And, of course, AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Head on over there. Start the new year off right with Terry Smith. The product, second to none. The customer service even better. So without further ado, let's bring him in. Mr. Nick Hathcoat. What's up, Nick?
Morning, Jeff. Hope you're feeling better.
My back's feeling a lot better, and I did get a new gaming chair for the office and studio, so that should help the 7 to 10 hours versus the old-fashioned. So we're praying. How was your Christmas?
It was good. I went to Nashville to see some family. Went there for 3 days, came straight back to Knoxville, and literally right back to work on college baseball. So it was a short break, but it was very needed. I mean, the season's coming quick, so got to get all these in.
How far is Nashville from your home?
Oh, just 2.5 hours.
Is there even an inkling that you wouldn't mind taking the drive there Monday, January 5th for the Montana State championship game? I mean, it's must-see TV here.
It actually is. No, I've got some prior commitments going on here in Knoxville that I do have to be here in town. So no, unfortunately, I will not. Because I was also thinking about going to the Tennessee-Illinois game as well. But yeah, just couldn't swing it.
I talked to Scotty Webb earlier this morning on our show, and we're in a pool where our numbers are a lot different than the actual market numbers and the closing value. We started off 4-1, and now we're 7-6, and a lot of backdoor covers, and it's part of the game. And you know about CLV. I see guys that I had 3, it closed at 7, and I still lost. It's just part of it. San Diego State, for instance. And there was another one that came flying in through the back door. What have you seen so far with the eyes in the quality of games, number one, and number two, in the market in your portfolio?
Yeah, quality of games comes in no surprise. It's not great. These aren't your bowl games like we used to get 10, 15 years ago, where this was every team was giving 100%. Everybody was playing. They were using it as another way to just basically as a intro to what they were going to be like next season, or whether it's something for the draft to look better and improve your stock. And now it's just gone downhill. we also weren't blessed with a lot of great matchups either, at least so far. We're getting a couple kind of better ones in a couple of days on January 1st. We got a couple good ones Saturday. I was surprised at how good some of those were. So, yeah, it hasn't been great. But I mean, I've been good. I think I am 8-3 on my plays so far this bowl season. I will say not all of them have been given out because what I've been doing, and I found out especially this year with all these opt outs and everything, I've been playing live. Like these live numbers have just been bad, and especially not even just bad, but you can tell pretty early on who cares and who doesn't, like who really wants to be there. So that like my biggest one was probably I put a 2-unit play on Northwestern on Friday early because you could tell that game was going to be over fairly quickly. And I can't remember don't remember what the final score was. I turned it off. I think 41-7 or something. Just it was bad. So that's how I've actually liked to play these games. Have just been live because, like I said, you can tell who wants to be there, who doesn't. But luckily, we don't have to worry about for the CFP. They want to be there. They're at full strength. Hardly anybody's really too injured. Jamar Miller for Jam Miller for Bama looks. I'm not sure if he's going to play. He's questionable again after retweaking his ankle against Oklahoma. Top defensive end for Indiana is out, but their defensive line depth is so good. I don't know if it's going to affect them a ton. So yeah, I'm mostly excited for these CFP games. But yeah, the bowl games, like I say, it's been a little bit disappointing in the quality of play so far in my eyes. But let's hope it gets a little bit better in the recent days.
I think we talked last week, and I put a tweet out there. I talked to a few colleagues, the Michigan hiring. I did find it kind of odd. The Utah coach stepping down. Listen, he'd been there. You get to 66 years of age, and hey, you did your time. You did an amazing job. But listen, there's also birdies, agents, and saying, hey, by the way, wink, wink, there's an opening in Ann Arbor that you might be the perfect fit for. Surprise, shocked, good fit. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I guess I was a little bit shocked, but not completely. I also I don't think Willingham is the kind of type to where he only retired so that he could take this Michigan job. I think if he wanted it, he would have stuck at Utah and I think he would have taken the job. Maybe not anyways, but I think he still would have taken it. If you're Michigan though, I think I don't know why, and maybe he was one of their first calls and it just took a week and a half. But yeah, the way kind of the news was breaking where it's like, oh, they're looking at this guy, they moved on to like 5 and 6. And then all of a sudden, Kyle Whittingham, it's like, okay, that's a very, very good hire. I mean, he's been I think even when Utah had their down years, they've never really been like down and out. They don't have any like bad, awful years. So I think he's and pretty respected as one of the top 10 coaches in college football. At least I think he's always mentioned when you look at lists of who's a top 10, top 15 coach, he's always on there. I think it's a really good fit as well, especially his style. You talk about that defense Utah always has, no matter what. Even if the offense struggles, their defense is always legit. That's going to fit at Michigan. I think his personality fits at Michigan as well. I think he's and I'm sure maybe some people have said this, but he's very hardball-ish when it comes to like philosophy and kind of attitude towards things. And he seems very CEO-like, where it's like, this is how we're going to do things. I'm going to delegate offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. I'm going to kind of run the ship, but pass along responsibilities to other guys. I think it's going to be a very good fit for Michigan. And I am surprised they got him, considering everything that was going on in the news cycle for that week and a half.
Listen, I don't like to pile on, and when someone's down, I'm not that guy that steps on his neck. I like to give everyone a fair shake. And listen, when you have a bad year, it kind of, you got to look in the mirror. You have to figure out, what did I do wrong? What was my stake in the matter? And what am I going to do to correct it? Well, it's been going on for a couple of years now. And I can guarantee you this. There's not a person in the world not named Dabo Sweeney that is glad this year's over with. and to watch that team play against a Penn State team, new coach, new regime coming in, and what Penn State went through. Hats off to Penn State. You know, after they fired Franklin and they didn't quit. A lot of teams will just say, "Hey, we're on to next year." They didn't quit. They could have just mailed in the bowl game. I'm at fault. I had Dabo. I had Cade Klubnik. I drank the orange Kool-Aid pre-flop, and we knew early on that shame. I just confettied it, and I just made fun of it. Hot seat is not even. I mean, this is molten lava now for Dabo. He is gifted and blessed with one more year here, and you can cry all you want, Dabo. Who are you going to get to replace me? I got 25 guys right now with a list that could come in and replace you in a heartbeat. He's got 1 year left. What the bleep is going on there?
Yeah, it was a bad year, and it was kind of surprising just because of all the talent that they had. You had Cade Klubnik coming back, who was, I don't know, fourth or fifth in the preseason Heisman odds. A defensive line that was stacked. Two defensive linemen who are going to be picked in the top 15, 20 in the NFL draft. Great receivers coming back. Didn't have a running back, which killed them at the beginning of the season. I think everybody saw that. They just couldn't run the ball. And Cade Klubnik's not that type where you can let him air it out 35, 40 times. And that kind of came back to bite him. The effort, I didn't play Clemson Penn State because that was one of those where it's like I couldn't stay farther away from this game because I have no clue what's going to happen. Now I thought Clemson was going to win, just because of, I mean, Dabo's record. This is only his second ever loss in a bowl game. He usually gets his teams right. I think just the way the season went, the players are I think they were a bit checked out, where it's like, let's just get the season over with. And like you said, Dabo was maybe feeling that a little bit as well. But like you said, got to give Penn State credit. Neither one of them running, like Allen and Singleton didn't play. They're on their backup quarterback. But they've been playing, I wouldn't say well because of the schedule they played at the end of the year. But if you look back, like they almost beat Indiana, who right now is considered the best team in the country. Like with that, if that weren't like heroics by Fernando Mendoza on that very last drive, they beat Indiana. Then they win their final 3 games. Then they win this bowl game against Clemson. That kind of says a lot about the program. I think I was very impressed. And that's like after firing Franklin, it seemed like the kids kind of rallied around each other. And I know and even the players were mad that Franklin got fired. They didn't want him to, but they kind of rallied around it and were impressive the second half of the season. But yeah, going back to Clemson and Dabo, I'm hoping, and I think it probably will be, this might be that kick in the butt that he needs where it's like, okay, this is a transfer portal world now. This is an NIL world, and we better embrace it or we're going to get passed. Now, I think it would be dumb if they fire him. There might be 3 or 4 better coaches in the country than Dabo. Like if you look at Clemson didn't even know Clemson had a football team before Dabo got there. And you look at all the years with Taj Boyd and Trevor Lawrence and Watson and like all that, like I don't know how many coaches could have turned a program around like that. There's only a handful. And I think Penn State kind of was one of those that kind of found that out when they fired Franklin, and they were just like, oh, we'll get anybody we want. And then everybody kept saying no. I think Clemson might be in that same boat because they don't have even though that school looks extremely nice, their field, everything, that there's not a ton of money around Clemson, like Carolina, where they have a ton of NIL to begin with. And I think coaches are looking for that when they're taking jobs these days. Like you look at all the big jobs that came up, and the first ones they reached out to was obviously LSU, Florida, schools like that, where it's like we want schools who are fully invested and we'll take this seriously. So I think it would be a mistake to fire Clemson or to fire Dabo, but I also do not think Clemson will be as bad next year. They're just too talented. They're bringing in another good recruiting class. I think let's see what January 2nd, the portal opens. Let's see what they kind of have on their docket there, because that's going to say a lot. If he only brings in 1 or 2 big portal guys, then it's like, okay, well, here we go again. This is the same Dabo. Then I think it's like, he's just not, it's either he's too stubborn to just do it, or he really doesn't think it works.
You're a Notre Dame guy. I have to ask you this. Everyone I've talked to, hush, and this was the start of the year, and then as it was progressing, as we knew the Giants coach was going to get fired, the not to make the splash name has been all along Jeff Hafley, the former BC coach, now the DC. at Green Bay as the potential new head coach. If the Giants do what they're supposed to do, and lose, now they'll be with the number 2 pick. So I guess my question now is kind of changed. Fernando Mendoza, hands down, will be the number 1 pick. That's what they're saying today. Now we still got some football left. Marcus Freeman's name has been brought up in New York. Now you're a Notre Dame guy. Any truth to this, or I mean, is this his
I'm
dream
sure.
job? Is this his dream job at Notre Dame, or does he have aspirations of the NFL?
No, his dream job is Ohio State, and I can even admit that as a player there, coach there. I think if that job opened up, he takes it. So that in my mind is not, and I wouldn't even be mad at him because that is his dream job. Everybody's got one. That would be his. NFL comes knocking to him every year. Happened last year. Chicago Bears. He was their number 1 choice, and they came knocking. He said, "No, I want to be at Ohio, I want to be at Notre Dame." And his quote was like, "For at least the next handful of years." I think that's still the case. I think he will. I think he will eventually make that jump to the NFL. He's so young though. I don't think and not that I don't think he's ready and wouldn't be successful. I don't think he's personally ready. Like I don't think he thinks he's ready for that or at least wants it. I still think he's sticking with that like handful of years. He was a number 3 recruiting class coming in, which is their best recruiting class since 1991, which is kind of insane for Notre Dame. So that recruiting class coming in, it's got a lot of guys coming back. CJ Carr is going to be one of the top Heisman favorites next year. So I think he sticks it out at least for 2, 3, 4 more years and tries to make a run. I think this year was such a good team. I think if they make the playoffs and get beat out, I think he might think about it more. But he's still been talking. That team's still been talking about getting left out of that CFP, and I don't think that sits very well. I do think with everything coming up for Notre Dame, I think he stays there for, like I said, 3 or 4 more years, and then probably takes an NFL job.
All right, before we get into your selections, whether it's today, tomorrow's games, of course, Wednesday and Thursday's games, the playoff situation, Matt knows I've been one of the leaders of the Texas Tech bandwagon for a long, long time. I've been on that island that says I just don't see what all the Oregon hype is. I always say I don't see that Bo Nix flash and flare type offense. But on both sides of the ball, they're dynamic. I get all that. Now you're gonna laugh because I'm really starting to lean to the right here. I'm seeing a lot of money coming in on Oregon. I'm seeing it now up to 2.5. I'm starting to think Oregon's gonna beat Texas. I was watching the BYU game and I'm like, oh shit. Oh shit. And then, they wake up, of course.
Yeah.
But now we're wondering, I talked last time with you. We weren't sure how Indiana would match up with one of the big boys. Well, we finally saw they can match up very well when they played Ohio State. I'm starting to say to myself, how is Texas Tech now going to match up to both sides of the ball with Oregon, number 1? And potentially, and they got to play the games, it could set up that matchup, the rematch of Oregon, Indiana. Help me out here. Am I starting to get buyer's remorse here? And is Oregon actually the side here?
Yeah, I'm a little upset just like you that I didn't take that 1.5. I thought there'd be a little bit more Texas Tech love to where at least I thought 1.5 might be the worst number, or 2. I thought 2 might be the worst number I'd get. I didn't think it'd pass that key number. So I am a little surprised it gets to 2.5 right now, like I'm seeing on the board, is just like you. I think it comes back down, so I'm not touching it yet because I would like a 2 with Oregon. I think they win. Oregon, you look all year, just wasn't completely healthy, and now they are. Got both starting receivers back that basically missed the last 6 weeks of the season. They both look very healthy. Dante Moore he's getting more and more comfortable. Like that game against James, I know it's James Madison, but that was like target practice. And it wasn't even the guys that weren't open, was just everything was right in the face mask. It was like just throwing the ball wherever he wanted. That running game is strong. I think Texas Tech's issue, I could see an under here. just because I do like both these defenses. I think Oregon's defense doesn't get talked about enough. And I really do think this Texas Tech defense is the real deal. Even with their like strength of schedule doesn't look great, but I think that defense is real just because you can tell the athletes on the field, the defensive line, linebackers. Obviously, Rodriguez finishing, I believe, 5th in the Heisman votes, so he's a stud. I don't trust this Texas Tech offense to score enough. I don't know how they get past 17, and I don't know if they can hold Oregon lower than 17. Is kind of how I see it going. I don't hate the under in that one, but I do think Oregon is probably the side there. I just haven't played it. Like I said, I wish I would have taken that 1.5 now, but I'm going to wait and see kind of where it ends up come game time.
Last question before we get your selections here. Let's just play the game out. Oregon wins, Indiana wins. What is the Nick Hathcoat rematch line for Oregon and Indiana?
I think it's 3.5. I think Indiana 3.5. I think it'll be I think everybody's going to see that kind of first game. I think Indiana will be favored. I also don't think we get anything below 3 because that'll just get hammered right away. People will take Indiana immediately, especially the people who like us cappers will go off of numbers and just do numbers and like, hey, here's my power rating. Here's where I have it versus here's where the books have it. The difference is the books know that if they put it at 2.5, they will have realized that Indiana is in that game because they just beat Bama, which is such a name. And kind of the casuals who are just now watching college football and just watching these CFP games or just decide to bet on these CFP games are going to be like, holy crap, they just beat Alabama. And they're going to be like, now I can get Indiana at 2.5. Yes, give me that. So I don't think the books want to have it less than 3, so I'd be shocked. So I think 3.5, 4 is probably that number.
Bunch of bowl games. One today, Georgia Southern getting steamed to no end. A lot of opt-outs and not playing for App State. At the circuit now, 10 with a 57. Tomorrow, 3 games, Coastal Carolina, Louisiana Tech. You talked about close to you, Nashville, Tennessee, Illinois. Tennessee, 2.5 with the 61.5. To me, that smells. I think it'll be 3 by kickoff. I think there'll be a lot of points definitely scored in that game. And then USC TCU closes it out in the Alamo Bowl. Then, of course, Wednesday, Iowa Vanderbilt, Arizona State Duke, Michigan Texas, Nebraska Utah. Utah up to 14.5 in some spots. Matt Rule, just don't show up. I mean, what the hell's going on? And then, of course, Miami, Ohio State, and then you got the 3 on Thursday.
Yeah, I actually like one tomorrow. This is kind of a smaller game, Louisiana Tech. I think they might kill Coastal. Coastal is going to be in a full rebuild. I was surprised they fired their coach after how good he was last year. That was kind of shocking just because they had a 6-6 down season. But if you look at their losses, they didn't lose to a single team that they were favored against. So it wasn't like they were just getting upset and losing games they weren't supposed to. So that was surprising. Louisiana Tech, though, was very kind of underrated, and I think they score points here, and probably I think that 10 might be a little bit too low. You mentioned one thing about that Tennessee Illinois game, and you mentioned points. I'm with you there. I think this game flies over. You're looking at a lot of the opt-outs for both teams are on the defensive side of the ball, and these offenses were both very good this year. The only one out for Tennessee is that really means a ton is Chris Braswell, the number 1 receiver, is not playing. He opted out, but both quarterbacks are still playing. Both running backs are still playing. Everybody for Illinois that I know of, except for one offensive lineman, is still in. And the weather's supposed to be fairly decent. It's going to be a little bit chilly for Nashville standards. I was thinking the 40s, but it's still going to be sunny. Doesn't look like there's going to be much wind. So yeah, I'm with you that over 6. I got a 60.5. I think it's 61.5 now. Yeah, that's still very, very playable. Ohio State, man, I think this gets ugly, but I don't trust myself enough. That number in a college football playoff game just seems untouchable to me right now because Miami's defense is pretty good. So I'm not sure. And seeing Ohio State where it's like, oh my gosh, they're throwing the ball over the yard against all these teams. And the two best defenses they played was Texas. They put up 14. Indiana, they put up 13 or 10. So it's like, I don't know what their offense actually is when you face these good defenses. So 10 points feels like a lot there, but I'm not playing Miami because I don't know if Miami scores against Ohio State either. I just saw what they did against Texas A&M. I've seen what they've done in some of their bigger games as well. So I'm not sure how much they score. So that's a stay away. We've talked Oregon, Texas Tech. Like I said, I'm going to be on the Oregon side in some form or capacity. Hopefully I get that too. If it doesn't get down to 1.5 again. So I do like that one. I thought about, I'm probably going to do Indiana a couple different ways. I'm going to take that 6.5. I think they're just that much better than Alabama. I think Alabama's getting pulled a little bit by their name over talent and how they're playing right now. I think that we talked about it on our last show before the first round, how they got so lucky getting that rematch up against Oklahoma. That happened to be a team that they, even though they lost to, they gained them by 200 yards in that first outing. It happened again. I know people lost their minds when it was 17-0 Oklahoma, and it's like, see, Alabama shouldn't have been in. But this Oklahoma team was not offensively good enough throughout the entire season where it's like they're just going to run away and hide from somebody, and that came back to bite them. The punter drops the ball, which I still can't believe that happened. He literally just dropped the ball. And you hate when a punt, like your whole team worked so hard all season and your punter just drops the ball to basically give up a touchdown to Alabama, which gave Alabama momentum back. But I think this looks very similar to what that Georgia-Bama game looked like. Like personally, I think Indiana is better than Georgia, and we just saw what Georgia did to Alabama on a neutral site. This one's neutral as well. I think Indiana wins by 6.5 by that 6.5 number. So I'm probably going to be on that. It looks like it's 7 most places. Still would play it. And then Georgia. I already laid it with Georgia at 6.5 as well. I know Ole Miss played well against them in that first game, had a chance to win until that fourth quarter. I don't think this is the same Georgia team, and I don't think this is the same Ole Miss team. I think this is the game where not having Kiffin comes back to bite them. Playing against Tulane is one thing where they didn't have to make adjustments. You could tell from the beginning where it's like, here's what we practiced. Here's the game plan we're going in with. Everything worked, and boom, it was over by halftime. Cover, when you face a Kirby Smart defense, especially in the second half of games, that's when you need an offensive coach like Lane Kiffin and like some of the best offensive coordinators where you can recognize the adjustments the defensive guy made, and you can make your own adjustments on the fly within play by play. So you're talking 20-second adjustments from what you're seeing. And when you have guys that aren't used to it, that's when I think the Kiffin versus not having an established head coach, or Kirby Smart, against the not having established head coach, I think that's where it comes back to get them. So yeah, I think Georgia wins this fairly easily. And I also don't hate parlaying. I haven't checked the number yet. It'll probably be around like 125-ish if you parlay Indiana and Georgia together. So might do that as well.
Well, I was just trying to do something for you here. Give me 1 second.
Oh, also, I haven't played it because I was looking at it. The first half under in Mississippi, Georgia, I think is another play as well. Like I said, Ole Miss, I'm not trusting this offense to look like what it did against Tulane. Georgia defense, we saw it last time out against Bama, absolutely shut down a similar scheme to what Ole Miss runs. So I think it's going to be low scoring. And also Georgia, their first halves this season, we've seen plenty of it. They don't exactly come out with their hair on fire. So unless Ole Miss's defense literally just can't stop them, which I don't see happening because Georgia's offense is not fantastic, I think that first half under is another look as well.
I just did a 3-team money line parlay just to see what the numbers were. I took Ohio State minus 355. I have Indiana minus 235, and I have Georgia minus 245, all at the circa $100 3-team parlay money line, 157.28. Is it worth the bite?
I don't hate it. I'm usually not one that parlays more than 2 teams. Personally, that's just one of like mine. Like every capper like has their own rules where it's not like I don't care if other people do it, great. Like if that's their thing, sweet. I definitely wouldn't. I hate when people go over like 3 and do these same game parlays with like 10. It's like you might just throw it in the trash. But yeah, 3. I really Yeah, I don't hate that. I'm gonna have to look and see what that. Like I said, that Indiana Georgia number is probably gonna be around 125, 130 ish. But yeah, if you want a little extra juice, because I really do think Ohio State wins. That's just a big money line number to add in when it doesn't really give you a ton of value in a parlay. That's the only thing that would scare me away with, what do you say, 355. So that would kind of scare me away just because that number doesn't add a ton. What do you got?
I can get take Ohio State out, and if you do the Indiana Georgia $100 money line parlay pays you $100.74.
Oof, it's 174. Okay, that's a lot higher than I expected.
No, $100.74.
Oh, okay. So it's wow. Okay, so that's for yes. Okay, see, I would
Even
like that
money.
more. Yeah, so I would
Even
like
money.
that more than adding Ohio State to it, just because you can. Okay, so even that makes that Ohio State even less valuable. So yeah, I would say if you want to do, you could also do it this way, which I wouldn't hate. You could also do something like a half unit on the 3-teamer and a half unit on the 2-teamer, and just do it that way. Which in turn, like if all three hit, awesome. And if not, like just because Ohio State one just seems, it just, like I said, doesn't add a ton of value. Don't hate that at all. That you can kind of play around. Like I always tell people, look at numbers, look at different books, things like that, and you can usually find value, especially, and people like will always mess with games more than like units. And like I've given out a lot on this show when I'll do like a first half and a full game, and I'll do like different things where it's like you can split like different units, and it kind of mitigates your risk that you're putting with also the same payout possible.
We have plenty of games, plenty of actions. I'm so glad that we got you on today to give us a outlook of what we have to this week. When will the next round occur, Nick? After
Ooh, it is the week from, so it's back to, I believe, back to Friday, Saturday, next week. So it's like a 9 day break.
Okay, so what we can do very simply, and we can text away or whatever, is we can give you Friday off if you'd like, or we can have you come on and we can take a look at some look ahead lines, or we can bring you in at the beginning, so we don't miss any games. It's totally your call. For want to come in for the recap and the look ahead lines and talk about what happened and what's up next, we can have you on Friday at 11 if that fits your schedule.
It does. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, we can at least we can recap. We can definitely talk. Looks like there's 4 games on Friday, and I have a play on one of them already. If people want, I'm already on Mississippi State. I got that at 1.5. People are going to look at those records with Wake and Mississippi State and just think like this one's off. Mississippi State though, like considering the fact that they were one of those teams that got asked because they only have 5 wins and that they wanted to play in this bowl game, I think that says a lot about the program and kind of that they're not going to have a ton of opt-outs, because any team that's going to have a ton of opt-outs is just going to say, no, we're fine. We'll just finish out our fall and kind of get to spring ball. But the fact that they want to play means a lot of their players are going to play in it. I think Chapin plays in it. So I think Mississippi State's the favorite there. So yeah, we can do Friday. We can talk recap. We can talk some of those Friday games. And if anything, we run out of stuff to talk about, college baseball is right around the corner.
As we always wrap up this segment here, you can go follow Nick, of course, at Hathcoat 413. You can follow him at the Insiders Football and, of course, NCAA Insiders as well. But I always close out with telling them where they can find all your work, Nick.
Yeah, in Hathcoat 413 on X is the best place kind of to find all my plays. Been a little, and I'll admit this is my fault, been a little slacking on the Insiders FB account lately, just because of just the Christmas bowl games being, sometimes we get one game a day. Sometimes none of us have plays on it. Sometimes whether it's me, Matt, or Smitty will put a play in kind of last second. But they're all of it. Like we all put them on our own pages. I'm sure if you're following me, you're probably following those two as well. So you can always get it there. We're always transparent with what we play. We put everything out there. So not hiding anything. And then NCAA Insiders. I just finished this morning. Just finished my 68th team, where it's like a deep look at the 68 teams that I'm into. I'm trying to get to. I've given myself a goal of 150 by the time the season starts, and now I'm down to a little over a month and a half. So maybe I set my goal a little bit high with still over 100 to go. But we will see. My schedule kind of, especially once these bowl games are over, my schedule and Christmas is now done. So we'll see. Now that my schedule's a little bit lighter, and maybe I can do a couple more a day. So we'll see. But yeah, NCAA Insiders, obviously a ton coming around the corner. You're going to get our guide like usual. That's going to be through VSiN, just like last year as well. So, and yeah, we will have our first show soon, doing kind of like a preview, hoping to get some more coaches on this season, kind of talking about how the fall ball went, what they're going to do in the spring, and kind of outlooks of their teams as well. So we got a lot of stuff on deck, and yeah, I honestly cannot, now that I was watching all these kind of, like I said, crappy bowl games go on, it's getting me into college baseball mood.
Shout out to Mr. Saylor, Mr. Russell Saylor. Who's your daddy? I will have a lot of Indiana talk moving forward as well. Myself and Scotty will be back tomorrow to recap the NFL. We'll talk some what happened in the bowl game today, and then we'll obviously get ready for the big boys. Andrew McGinnis will be on at 10:30 talking some NHL slate as well. Again, thank you so much, Mr. Hathcoat, for coming on early this week. It was great to get a preview.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jeff.
For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, one and only Mr. Nick Hathcoat at Hathcoat 413. We wish everyone a blessed day. Shout out to Mr. Saylor himself. Who is your daddy, or who's your daddy? Stay tuned.